Okay, this how-to video is going to talk about associative dimensioning that's available inside OrCAD and Allegro PCB editor, so all levels of the tools that are available. So you may have a finished PCB and you want to actually dimension up the board profile just to give the fabricator some tolerancing or some better information about the actual board. So to do this, we can launch the manufacture dimension environment, and then if we look at the command line, it's actually saying use the right mouse button menu to change the dimension mode. We're currently in linear dimension creation mode. So if we do a right click, we can obviously see we've got some basic dimension modes, things like linear dimension, datum dimension, angular dimension. There's commands like moving dimensions, locking them, unlocking them, and parameters. So if we actually look at the parameters, these are the settings for the dimensions that we're going to use. So we've got different standards, different units. We can control what size text block, whether you have leading zeros, whether you align the text with the dimension line, whether you use dual dimensions. There's different sizes for arrows, etc. If you're going to do some assembly drawings and you want to put some assembly balloons, you can use the balloon options, and then there's obviously some tolerances here. So have a look at the general settings that you want to use. Once you're happy with those, click OK, and then you can do a right click and then pick the dimension mode you're going to go in. So we'll do a couple of basic examples. We've got a linear dimension. So what we can do, I want to do maybe a dimension from this tooling hole back to the edge of the board, so I can either just pick the tooling hole, you can see it's highlighting, or I can just make sure I can do a right click snap pick to. We'll use pin. You'll see I then get this little kind of crosshair, and then it says pick the second point. So we'll hover over here, right click, snap pick to segment vertex, and I can choose obviously if I want to do this in the Y direction or in the X direction. So I click to where I want the dimension to go, and then effectively the dimension text is then available ready for me to place. So this is currently 25.4, it's an inch. I've got dual dimensions enabled. When I click and place, the text is then enabled. We'll do that again. So if I did effectively, so we'll do manufacture dimension environment, right click, let's do a radial dimension. So I'll do a radial leader. I can click on the arc that I'm interested in and I get the radius, so it's a 3mm radius. Click to do, and then we'll do next, and then place the text, and I get the arrow. Now the advantage of the dimension environment is the dimensions are associative. So let's just say I put all my dimensions on and then I had to make some changes to the board. Let's say this tooling hole needs to move. So I would go to the move command. I don't want to have to redo all my dimensions again. So if I literally go into the move command, I'm going to move this connector or this tooling hole. I'm just going to move it by 0.5mm. And you can see effectively the dimension text is then updated 25.9, so it's added the extra 0.5mm for me automatically. So that's the advantage of the associative dimensioning.